Chapter 1. If you can train your mind to stay clear under pressure, you can win in any situation because nothing outside you will ever have the power to break you inside. That's not a quote. That's not motivation. That's reality. Most people never learn this because they spend their entire life trying to control everything except the one thing that actually decides their outcome. Their mind. They believe if the job gets better, they'll feel better. If people change, they'll feel stronger. If routines improve, everything will fall into place. But none of that works if the mind is weak. A weak mind turns small problems into heavy pressure. A distracted mind turns normal days into stress. An untrained mind reacts instead of deciding. And that's why most people feel tired, even when they haven't done anything meaningful. If your thinking is weak, your emotions will run your life. If your thoughts are scattered, you will always feel behind. But when your mind is trained, sharp, and steady, you become someone who doesn't break when things go wrong. Someone who doesn't panic when pressure hits. Someone who keeps moving even when quitting feels easier. This audiobook is not here to entertain you. It's not here to make you feel good for 5 minutes. It's here to wake you up. It's here to help you build a mindset that performs under pressure, that stays calm in chaos, and that knows how to move forward when nothing is working. You don't need hype. You need control. You need clarity. You need a new standard for how you think. And it starts with how you begin your day. Most people lose their day in the first hour and they don't even realize it. They wake up and immediately let their mind drift. They think about problems. They grab their phone. They check messages. They scroll. They let the outside world enter their head before they've even stood up. And that one habit sets the tone for everything that follows. The first hour of your day is not neutral. It's either building you or weakening you. What you think in that first hour decides whether your mind will work for you or against you. If you wake up negative, doubting yourself, feeling heavy and careless, your day is already behind. You'll spend the rest of the day reacting, fixing, and catching up. But if you wake up and take command of your thoughts, you begin to build a mind that leads. A mind that doesn't get shaken by noise. A mind that stays ready. This is not about motivation. This is about direction. This is about waking up and deciding how you are going to think before the world tries to decide for you. Most people don't lead themselves. They wait for the day to tell them how to feel. They check their phone, get triggered, get distracted, and before they realize it, their emotions are already out of control. That's not strength. That's passiveness. And a passive mind never wins. You have to be intentional the moment you wake up. That means before you touch anything, before your feet hit the floor, you take control of your thinking. You decide what kind of day you are going to create. You choose what thoughts deserve your attention and what thoughts don't. You don't need long planning sessions. You don't need fancy systems. You need one clear decision. Speak truth to yourself. Real truth. Not hype. Not emotional noise. Just direction. Tell yourself that today you will stay clear. That today you will move forward. That today you will not waste energy on useless thinking. And mean it, because that first decision sets everything in motion. If you let the first thoughts of the day control you, they will control the rest of the day. 1 week morning becomes 1 week day. 1 week day becomes a week. And before you know it, months are gone. Not because you failed, but because you never took control early. Getting up strong matters. Hitting snooze matters. Delaying matters. Because how you start is how you move. When you get out of bed with purpose, you send a signal to your mind. This day matters. I'm not here to coast. I'm here to lead myself. And when you repeat that long enough, your brain starts to align with it. Your thinking becomes sharper. Your reactions slow down. You stop getting pulled in every direction. You don't feel rushed all the time. You feel grounded. And that strength carries into everything else you do. Even your environment matters. A messy space creates mental noise. A clean space creates clarity. Strong minds are built in strong environments. That's not extra. That's essential. This is not motivation. This is strategy. This is how people who perform under pressure actually live. They guard their mornings. They don't give the first hour away. They don't hand their mind to distractions. They start with control. And that one habit alone changes everything. Most people think they lose their day because they don't have enough time. But that's not true. They lose their day because they don't know how to protect their focus. Their attention is always being pulled in different directions, and it happens so slowly that they don't even notice it. One notification, one message, one scroll, one random thought about something that doesn't matter, and just like that, their mind is no longer where it needs to be. It's split. It's scattered. And when the mind is scattered, energy leaks. You start the day with plans, but you move through it reacting instead of leading. You jump from one thing to another, feeling busy, but not effective. And at the end of the day, you feel tired without knowing why. That's what unprotected focus does. It drains you without giving anything back. You cannot build anything meaningful with a mind that is constantly being interrupted. If you want to move forward in life, you have to get serious about guarding your attention, because your attention decides what grows and what dies. Distractions are not small problems. They are silent killers of progress. Every time you stop to check something that isn't important, every time you let noise enter your mind, you give away a little bit of your clarity. And clarity is power. When clarity is gone, you start second-guessing yourself. You rush decisions. You lose patience. You feel overwhelmed by things that shouldn't feel heavy. This isn't because you're incapable. It's because your mind is being pulled apart. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to stay connected to everything. Not everything deserves your attention. The strongest people are not the ones who do the most things. They are the ones who protect their focus and give their full mind to what actually matters. That means turning off what doesn't serve you without guilt. Chapter 2. Protect your focus by turning off distractions. Most people don't lose their direction because they are lazy or incapable. They lose it because their focus is constantly under attack, and they never learn how to defend it. Their mind is always open, always available, always reacting. One notification pulls them here. One message pulls them there. One random thought turns into 10 minutes of distraction, and before they realize it, their energy is gone. Their clarity is gone. Their day is gone. Focus doesn't disappear all at once. It leaks out slowly, minute by minute, every time you give attention to something that doesn't matter. And that's why so many people feel busy all day, but end the day feeling empty. They moved, but they didn't progress. They reacted, but they didn't lead. A mind that is constantly switching cannot go deep, and without depth, nothing meaningful is built. If you want to win, you have to become serious about protecting your focus, not when you feel like it, but as a daily discipline. Distractions are not harmless. They weaken your thinking. They train your brain to avoid effort. They make simple tasks feel heavy. Every time you stop what you're doing to check something unimportant, you are teaching your mind that interruption is normal. And once that habit is built, focus becomes painful. That's why sitting still feels uncomfortable for most people. Their mind has been trained to jump, not to stay. If you want a strong mind, you have to remove what keeps breaking it. That means turning off what doesn't serve your purpose. It means cutting access to things that pull you away from your goals. You already know what distracts you. You don't need awareness for that. You feel it when your attention drifts. You feel it when you avoid the work that matters. That's where discipline comes in. You don't negotiate with distractions. You don't wait until you feel ready. You act. You silence notifications. You put the phone away. You create space where your mind can stay with one thing long enough to actually do something meaningful. This is not about isolating yourself from the world. This is about choosing what deserves your energy. Not every message needs a reply. Not every conversation needs to happen. Not every piece of information needs to be consumed. When you stop letting everything reach you, your mind starts to calm down. You think more clearly. You stop rushing. You stop second-guessing yourself. You begin to move with purpose instead of pressure. A focused mind feels different. It feels steady. It feels controlled. You're not constantly pulled by urgency that isn't real. You're not reacting to noise dressed up as importance. You start giving your full attention to what actually moves your life forward. And that's when progress becomes visible. There is a big difference between being busy and being focused. Busy feels tiring. Focus feels powerful. Busy drains you. Focus builds you. People who win are not doing more things. They are doing fewer things with full attention. They protect blocks of time where nothing gets in. No checking. No switching. No reacting. Just working. Thinking. Building. And over time, that habit reshapes the mind. It trains the brain to stay with discomfort, to stay with effort, to push past boredom. And that ability becomes an advantage in every area of life, because life rewards depth, not noise. If you don't control your focus, someone else will. Something else will. And you'll spend years wondering why you're stuck, when the real reason is simple. You never protected the one thing that could move you forward. Your attention. Guard it. Train it. Use it with intention. Because your future is built in the moments when you choose focus over distraction. Chapter 3. Build toughness by doing what feels uncomfortable daily. Most people say they want to grow, but very few are willing to feel uncomfortable. They want confidence without pressure, strength without resistance, progress without struggle. But real toughness is never built in comfort. It's built in moments when your mind wants to pull back and you decide to push forward anyway. Toughness is not something you are born with. It's something you train. And like any form of training, it requires effort, consistency, and discomfort. Every time you avoid what feels hard, you teach your mind to escape. Every time you face it, you teach your mind to stay. And that difference decides who breaks under pressure and who doesn't. Discomfort shows you the truth about yourself. When things feel easy, you don't learn much. But when something demands more from you, everything comes to the surface. Your doubts, your excuses, your fear, your urge to quit. That moment is where growth happens. Not by avoiding it, not by distracting yourself, but by standing inside it and continuing anyway. This is how you build a mind that doesn't panic. You stop treating discomfort like danger and start treating it like training. Pain no longer means stop. Resistance no longer means turn back. It simply means you are being stretched. And stretching is what makes you stronger. You don't need extreme challenges to build toughness. You need consistency. Small daily actions that push you slightly past what feels comfortable. Getting up when your body wants to stay in bed. Finishing the task you've been avoiding. Having the conversation you keep delaying. Training when it hurts. Speaking the truth when staying quiet feels safer. These things don't look dramatic, but they build something solid inside you. They teach you that your feelings don't control your actions. They build trust with yourself. And once that trust is built, confidence becomes real, not imagined. Comfort is dangerous because it lies to you. It tells you there's time. It tells you to wait. It tells you you've done enough. But deep down, you know when you're settling. You know when you're choosing ease over growth. And every time you listen to comfort, you weaken your ability to handle pressure. Life doesn't get easier. Pressure doesn't disappear. What changes is your capacity to handle it. And that capacity is built by doing what you don't feel like doing again and again until it becomes part of who you are. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. It shows up when you're tired. It shows up when you're bored. It shows up when quitting feels logical. And over time, that discipline builds a toughness that can't be shaken. A tough mind doesn't need perfect conditions. It doesn't wait for the right mood. It moves anyway. It understands that growth is uncomfortable by nature. That pressure is part of progress. That struggle is not a sign you're failing, but a sign you're being tested. And when you pass those tests daily, in small ways, you become someone who can handle bigger challenges without breaking. You stop running from hard moments. You walk into them with control. You stay calm when others panic. You stay steady when others collapse. And that's the real reward of toughness. Not just strength, but stability. The ability to stay grounded when life pushes back. That's what doing uncomfortable things daily gives you. A mind that doesn't quit when things get hard. A mind that keeps going. A mind that wins. Chapter 4. Control your emotions before they control you. Most people believe their emotions are something they have to obey. They feel angry, so they react. They feel anxious, so they panic. They feel frustrated, so they quit. And over time, their life becomes a reflection of whatever emotion showed up that day. That's not living with control. That's being controlled. Emotions are powerful, but they are not leaders. They are signals, and if you don't learn how to handle those signals, they will run your decisions, your behavior, and eventually your future. A strong mind does not deny emotions, but it also does not surrender to them. It notices them, slows down, and decides what to do next, instead of reacting automatically. Most emotional reactions happen fast. Something goes wrong, and the mind jumps to conclusions. You assume the worst. You create stories. You add meaning where there is none. And before you know it, you're stressed, angry, or overwhelmed without even understanding why. This happens because most people never pause. They let the first feeling decide the next action. That's weakness, not because emotions are bad, but because there is no control between feeling and action. Strength is built in that space, the pause, the moment where you choose to breathe instead of explode, to observe instead of react, to think instead of panic. When you create that space, you regain control of your mind. And when your mind is in control, your emotions lose their grip. Learning emotional control doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionless. It means becoming steady. It means not letting a bad moment turn into a bad day. It means not letting one comment ruin your focus. It means not letting pressure turn into panic. A trained mind understands that emotions rise and fall, but decisions last. So instead of asking how you feel, you ask what needs to be done. That shift alone changes everything. You stop being owned by moods. You stop being pulled into unnecessary drama. You start acting with purpose even when things feel uncomfortable inside. That's emotional strength. Pressure is where emotional control is tested. When things go wrong, your emotions get louder. Fear tells you to stop. Anger tells you to react. Doubt tells you to quit. And if you listen to them, you lose clarity. But if you've trained your mind, you recognize those voices for what they are. Temporary noise, not truth. You slow yourself down. You ground yourself. You focus on the next right action instead of the emotion of the moment. That's how strong people move through chaos. They don't rush. They don't collapse. They don't let feelings decide the outcome. They stay present. They stay clear. They stay in control. Most people think emotional strength comes from avoiding stress. It doesn't. It comes from facing stress without losing yourself. From staying steady when things feel heavy. From choosing calm when reacting feels easier. This is a skill. And like any skill, it improves with practice. Every time you choose not to react immediately, you strengthen it. Every time you pause and think, you build it. And over time, emotional control becomes natural. You stop feeling thrown around by situations. You stop being exhausted by small problems. You become someone who can handle pressure without breaking. And that ability changes how people see you, how you see yourself, and how far you can go. Because a mind that controls emotions is a mind that stays powerful. Under Pre, Chapter 5, Think clear when everything goes wrong. Most people don't collapse because the situation is impossible. They collapse because their thinking becomes messy the moment something goes wrong. Pressure hits, plans break, expectations fail, and instead of slowing down, the mind speeds up in the wrong direction. Thoughts start racing, emotions rise, focus disappears, and in that state, even small problems feel overwhelming. This is where most mistakes are made, not because people lack intelligence, but because they lose clarity under pressure. A trained mind does the opposite. When things go wrong, it doesn't rush. It doesn't panic. It slows down. It simplifies. It looks for what can be controlled instead of getting stuck on what cannot. Clear thinking under pressure is not a talent. It's a habit, and it's built by learning how to ground yourself when chaos shows up. When everything starts going wrong, your first job is not to fix everything at once. Your first job is to steady your mind. Because a shaky mind cannot make strong decisions. Strong people understand this. They don't react emotionally when plans fall apart. They pause. They breathe. They pull their attention back to the present moment. And once the mind is calm, solutions become visible. Clarity returns when panic leaves. But panic only leaves when you choose not to feed it. Most people waste energy asking why something happened or who is to blame. That thinking does nothing but add weight to the situation. It keeps you stuck. A clear mind asks a different question. What is the next right move? Not the perfect move, not the big move, just the next one. That question brings focus back. It gives the mind direction, and direction removes overwhelm. One clear action taken calmly is more powerful than 10 rushed actions driven by fear. This is how you move forward when nothing is working. You break the moment down. You handle what is in front of you. You stay disciplined in your thinking, even when the situation feels out of control. Pressure exposes the quality of your thinking. When things are easy, anyone can stay calm. When things fall apart, that's when mental training shows. A trained mind does not dramatize the situation. It doesn't tell stories about failure. It doesn't jump to conclusions. It stays factual. It deals with reality as it is, not as fear imagines it. And because of that, it wastes less energy. It makes better decisions. It recovers faster. Clear thinking doesn't remove difficulty, but it removes confusion. And confusion is what breaks people, not pressure. Learning to think clearly when everything goes wrong changes how you experience life. Problems stop feeling like threats and start feeling like challenges. You stop feeling helpless. You stop feeling lost. You trust yourself to handle whatever comes next, and that trust creates calm. Calm creates clarity. Clarity creates action, and action creates progress. This is how strong minds survive chaos without being damaged by it. They don't fight reality. They don't collapse under it. They meet it with control, and that control is what allows them to keep moving forward when others stop. Chapter 6. Repeat the process until it becomes who you are. Most people think mental strength is built by one big decision or one intense moment. It's not. Mental strength is built quietly, through repetition, through doing the same disciplined things again and again, even when no one is watching, even when it feels boring, even when it feels unnecessary. What you do once doesn't change you. What you repeat does. And that's where most people fall off. They start strong, but they don't stay consistent. They expect fast results, and when those results don't show up immediately, they drift back to old habits. A trained mind understands something simple. Growth is not dramatic. It's gradual. And the only way it works is through daily repetition. Every morning you choose how you start your day. Every day you decide whether you protect your focus or give it away. Every day you choose whether you lean into discomfort or run back to comfort. Every day you decide whether emotions control you or you control them. These choices don't feel powerful in the moment. They feel small, but they are not small. They are shaping how your mind responds to life. And over time, those responses become automatic. You stop forcing discipline. You stop pushing yourself. It becomes normal. Clarity becomes your default. Focus becomes your baseline. Pressure becomes manageable instead of overwhelming. That's when you know something has changed. Repetition is what removes hesitation. When you've trained your mind to start strong, stay focused, push through discomfort, and think clearly under pressure, you stop overthinking. You don't waste energy debating with yourself. You move, you act, you respond with control, and that ability is what separates people who survive pressure from people who are shaped by it. Life doesn't stop testing you. Challenges don't disappear. What changes is how you meet them. You stop feeling fragile. You stop feeling reactive. you stop feeling like things are happening to you. You feel steady, grounded, present, and that presence gives you power. Most people wait for confidence before they act. A strong mind knows confidence is built after action, not before it. Every day you repeat the process. You prove to yourself that you can lead your mind instead of being led by it. That proof builds self-trust. And self-trust is real confidence. Not loud, not emotional, quiet, stable, reliable. The kind that doesn't disappear when things go wrong. The kind that doesn't need validation. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you can think clearly, stay disciplined, and keep moving forward. Eventually, this way of thinking becomes part of who you are. You don't have to remind yourself as much. You don't have to fight your impulses constantly. Your mind expects structure. It expects focus. It expects effort. And when that happens, life starts to feel lighter, not because it's easier, but because you're stronger. You don't break under pressure. You don't panic in chaos. You don't quit when progress feels slow. You keep showing up. You keep repeating the process. And that repetition builds a mind that wins. Not once, not occasionally, but consistently. That's the real goal. Not a moment of strength, but a standard. A standard you live by every day. Chapter 7. Stop waiting for life to feel easy. Most people are waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for the right time, waiting for life to slow down or problems to disappear. But life never becomes easy first. It only responds after you do. A strong mind understands this early. You don't prepare for a perfect moment. You move inside imperfect moments. You act while things feel unclear. You stay disciplined while emotions are unstable. You keep your standards even when life tests them. Waiting is comfortable, but it quietly trains your mind to hesitate, and hesitation slowly turns into regret. The truth is, discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a signal that growth is happening. Every time you feel resistance, pressure, or fear, your mind is being invited to level up. Weak thinking runs from that feeling. Strong thinking stays present inside it. It doesn't dramatize it. It doesn't complain about it. It simply observes it and continues moving forward. That ability changes everything. Because once you stop needing life to feel easy, you become free. Free from excuses, free from emotional delays, free from the illusion that someday conditions will be perfect. A disciplined mind does not ask, "How do I feel today?" It asks, "What needs to be done?" Feelings change. Responsibilities don't. Pressure comes and goes. Standards must remain. When you learn to act without negotiating with your emotions, you take control of your direction. You stop living in reaction mode. You stop wasting energy fighting reality. Instead, you work with it. You adjust. You adapt. You move forward anyway. And that consistency builds a quiet confidence that nothing external can shake. Life will always test your patience, your focus, your self-belief. There will be days when progress feels invisible and effort feels pointless. Those are not signs to stop. Those are the exact moments when your identity is being formed. Every time you show up on those days, you teach your mind something powerful. You teach it that quitting is not an option. You teach it that discomfort is temporary, but discipline compounds. And over time, that lesson becomes permanent. Eventually, You stop hoping for easier days and start building stronger habits. You stop asking for less pressure and start expanding your capacity. You stop chasing motivation and start relying on structure. And when that shift happens, life doesn't suddenly become smooth, but you become steady, calm under pressure, clear under stress, focused under chaos. You don't need life to cooperate anymore. You cooperate with your purpose. And that's when you stop waiting and start living with intent. Chapter 8. Become the person who does not break at some point. You stop trying to change your life and start changing yourself. Not emotionally, not dramatically, quietly. You stop chasing quick fixes. You stop looking for motivation outside of you. You stop asking life to be fair. Instead, you build a mind that can handle whatever comes next. That's the real transformation. Because when pressure arrives, when plans fail, when people disappoint you, when progress feels slow, you don't fall apart. You adjust. You stay present. You keep moving. You become reliable to yourself. And that reliability is strength. A strong mind is not loud. It doesn't announce its discipline. It doesn't seek approval. It shows up consistently. It stays calm when others panic. It thinks clearly when emotions try to take control. It understands that life will never stop testing you. So instead of resisting pressure, it trains for it. Every challenge becomes practice. Every setback becomes feedback. Every hard day becomes proof that you're still standing. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop being someone who reacts to life and become someone who leads it. This is where most people never reach, not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. It requires honesty with yourself. It requires consistency without applause. It requires choosing long-term strength over short-term relief. But once you cross this line, there's no going back. You don't unlearn discipline. You don't forget self-control. You don't lose awareness. You carry it into every part of your life. How you work, how you think, how you respond, how you carry yourself when no one is watching. Eventually, life starts responding differently to you. Not because it's easier, but because you're different. You don't collapse under pressure. You don't waste time complaining. You don't give your power away to emotions, people, or circumstances. You stay grounded. You stay focused. You stay intentional. And that presence changes outcomes. It changes decisions. It changes direction. You stop surviving days and start building momentum. This is the goal. Not perfection. Not happiness every day. Strength, clarity, control. The ability to face reality without flinching and still move forward. When you become that person, nothing external defines you anymore. No failure breaks you. No success inflates you. You stay steady. You stay sharp. You stay disciplined. And that's when you realize the truth. The strongest version of you was never something you needed to find. It was something you needed to build. One controlled thought, one disciplined action, one repeated day at a time.